right, guys, what is going on? And welcome back to the Tipped Out Podcast with your host, Danny Christy from Danny Christy Golf, and myself, Brandon Palmer from Balanced Performance Golf. What's going on, Danny? How we doing, brother?
Doing excellent today. We're getting into our bunker series with the start of this one. First of all, I think we're planning on getting some sort of bunker specialist on the pod here. So hopefully we can get that. We're gonna start today with just everybody loves the bunker, right? So we're just gonna start today with a generic meat and potatoes bunker setup that hopefully you can implement into your game soon and see a little better success with getting out of the bunker. So what I would say as my generic setup, and we'll see how Brandon, where he agrees, where he disagrees. I love a wider stance. Get in there, dig in, get your feet dug in. I lean pretty well onto my left side, maybe about 70-30. My ball position is kind of split between middle and front in that area. And from there, we are really just going to stay left is the huge feel for me throughout the swing.
Yeah.
And then when we get to club face, when we're setting that up, I'm going to open that thing up quite a bit, especially, a lot of times, when you're in a bunker, you will need to hit it high, especially green side. A lot of times you're in bunkers are below the level of the green by quite a way, so we really want to open that face up and utilize a good amount of wrist hinge in our swing. What do you got, Brandon?
Yeah, bro, I absolutely love that setup. Definitely thinking back to our college days many moons ago and even high school, I just remember how stellar you were out of bunkers, bro. It was actually so incredible to see how close this kid would hit it to the hole from a bunker. Like anybody else who played a match against him or something, you're like, well, he's in the bunker. Like I'm up one, and Danny would just hit it like even closer than a chip, and I'm like, well, that's just some bullshit. But anyway, great setup. I love that.
Hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but that is so funny because that's so relatable. I just remember when we'd be playing, even and you'd see the kid get in the bunker, you'd be like, oh.
I'm just waiting for the scold shot, just to hear it finally clipped. And
everybody does that with their buddies too when they're down or whatever in a match, and you see your buddy go in a bunker, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get him here.
Yeah. No, splash out, splash king. But yeah, same thing for the stance. I like a nice wide stance. Now is when I would like to see a little more knee flex or a pretty damn good amount of it, because that's going to kind of limit our lower body and just kind of get us in a good seated position, get the handle of the club lower, and allow us to work through the sand in a pretty decently shallow manner, we hope. But so same thing, ball position. I love it actually off of my lead heel even. I flare my front foot open, so like Danny said, more forward of the stance. Goes off that lead heel. From there, I'd say, yeah, I keep my normal grip. I don't really change anything in terms of weak or strong. Don't really need to get into that any deeper. Ball position, grip. I definitely feel weight distribution. My spine is centered or even matching the slope of the sand if it's a little uphill, or right now we're talking generic flat lie. So they're pretty neutral. But my weight distribution in my feet is definitely either 70-30 or 60-40, and that is maintained throughout the shot. Wide stance, but we're not going to sway our weight into a trail side or anything. We're wide and actually just lower to the ground. So we're staying very centered, pivoting around that lead side. Stance, ball position, grip. I like to have the handle of the club, the grip of the club, as low as I can, really. Get the hands nice and low, allow the club to work in a shallow manner. And then for technique, it's really kind of a good shoulder turn a little bit to the step one position that we've talked about in our pitching, in our setups. And then just really good wrist hinge from there, and really allowing the loft to be maintained throughout the swing. Just give it loft or keep loft in the backswing, and then just apply it in the through swing. When I'm looking at a good finish in the bunker, that club face should be looking back at me. My palm should be facing the target, my lead hand. That's going to just make sure we maintain that loft and utilize as much of the grooves as possible. Once again, and my strike point is going to be probably an inch behind the ball, depending on the distance of the shot, the type of sand, how high I need to go with it. And these are all things we'll talk about in the coming podcast. So just like when we did our putting and our pitching and our chipping series, we went through beginner setup and then the different shot types. So that's exactly what we're going to do, especially with the bunker. We're going to see fairway bunkers, long bunker shots, short and high bunker shots. We've got downhill, uphill, side hill, wet sand, hard pan, super soft, sugary sand. These are all different things. So like Danny said, this is our generic bunker shot. So hopefully it's good sand, fluffy kind of sand. So I am going to shuffle my feet in. Now the reason we do that, I'm sure Danny knows this, the reason we do that is just to get closer to the ball, right? The ball, if it's in fluffy sand, is sitting down. It's not plugged, but maybe a quarter inch, half inch of that ball is under the surface. So once again, squat, handle low, and shuffle your feet in. It all gets us closer to the bottom of the ball so that the sand is easier to lift that ball out.
And when you say shuffle your feet in, Brandon, which direction are you talking about for our listeners? Because you could, I'm thinking you could say meaning narrower, or you could be meaning.
Gotcha. Great catch. So wide stance, and I've shuffled my feet downward into the sand, like solidified my feet into the sand. Have a little bit of foot flare, at least with my lead foot, so I can open easily, get through the shot a little easier. But big thing is here, take enough backswing and make sure you do not decelerate in the through swing. A lot of times people are either make a really short backswing and try and swing really hard in the through swing, and they're either going to jump up out of it and they're going to top it, or they're going to lean back when they try and do that, dump the shoulder, chili dip for all you people that like Caddyshack out there, or not Caddyshack, holy cow, Tin Cup. And then from there, like all we're looking to do is stay very centered, nice shoulder turn, good hinge of the club, release it through. Even if I have a pretty short-sided bunker shot that I need to get up pretty quick, I'm pretty much going to take a full swing. My tempo may change in the strike in which how deep in the sand or how close to the ball I'm striking may change, but I'm going to take a full swing. Sometimes it's a lot of speed, other times it's soft. All depends on what you're looking for in terms of spin, roll out. Those are also all things we'll get into when it comes to club selection and how we finish. So again, this is the generic bunker shot. Long backswing with hinge, through swing, hands finish nice and high with loft. So I'm not rolling my right wrist over left wrist or right forearm over left forearm. I'm not releasing the club. I'm maintaining the loft. That's what gives it height, spin, soft. Anything to add on that little topic?
I just want to harp on the importance of getting low. I really like that you said that, talked about how that makes the lower body more stable and silent basically throughout your swing, which is huge in bunker games. So that's like you can tell someone to keep their weight 70-40 on their front side, but if you don't have them do all those other little things to make it easier for them to do that, then they are going to have a harder time doing that. So amen to that. That's huge, Brandon. And then one thing that I kind of have been noticing that I like to do with people, full swing, in bunker, whatever, I'm starting to try to get away from telling people to accelerate almost. I almost want to like trick people into just staying aggressive and accelerating. I feel like a lot of times people don't hit through the ball, especially beginners. They hit at the ball, especially when they get to like a short game shot and they're really trying to be gentle with it, or they're scared in the bunker so they don't want to swing. Like when I'm in the bunker with people, I get them in the right setup, and then I tell them, I pick a little spot in the sand, and I say, just smash the sand, smash or whatever word you want to use, and still swing through. And I find that helps quite a bit, rather than just saying, yeah, you just got to accelerate, because I feel like that sometimes messes with people's like natural tempo, or they try to like, I don't know. I just feel like they get messed up sometimes when you do that. But
No, that is incredible, bro. That is a great not topic, but that is a great ad right there. Like that's a great sign of a coach. Like we got to learn to take their tendencies, the general rule of thumb for golfers, their tendencies, and turn them into how they can get better. And that's a great way. Like most of the time in coaching in ways, like certain things are, for lack of better words, like trickery, right? We're just trying to get people to do things that they may find unnatural if we told them the true base of it or the roots of it. So that's awesome. I love that. If you're someone that really likes to drop that trail shoulder and you usually hit shots fat, a great drill for you to do. Well, for first, let's see if you do dig behind it or too much in front of it. So if you just draw like a foot width line in the sand, or if you just make a footprint diagonal to your target, then place your golf balls in that footprint like two golf balls. If you make a strike and all of your sand is taken out way before the ball and there's really no divot after the ball, you might be accelerating too much with that right hand and digging too deep behind the ball. That's, you're going to hit heavy shots. And naturally, if we hit a lot of that sand, we're going to decelerate because we're just hitting so deep into the sand. So on the other side, if you're someone that leans too much left and that handle is working way too far forward and you're just taking ball and then divot way after, that's for someone that is used to scooping too much. You are someone that works too much of that lead side and we're descending too much on it, excuse me. We want that shaft to come back neutral or sometimes the slightest bit maybe behind for these high bunker shots, these high generic soft bunker shots. So with that drill, you've got your footprint diagonal. We're just trying to make a line in the sand to see where your strike point's going to be. So again, if you're striking way before, now try and hit bunker shots. Don't worry about the contact or the result. This isn't based on that. This is for body motion. Hit bunker shots with your lead hand only if you're used to hanging back and kind of thumping way behind the ball and hitting heavy shots or not getting out of the bunker. Now the opposite, if you're someone who usually leans too much and leads with the hands, hit bunker shots with just your right hand, feeling like you throw that club head. Tiger loved that drill. He would like be in the bunker and almost throw the club head from like his trail hit and let the head of the club really flip out. Like that's a feeling I love to have because I usually move lateral and drive with the handle, and that leads to shanks. That leads to too deep of divots in the bunker, never getting out, too low. So stay nice and centered. Find out where your strike pattern is. Is it way before the ball or way after? And then apply that little simple one-handed drill to fix it. That's just a quick little tip.
Yeah, that's a great add-in, Brandon. I think it's very important what you spoke on, basically like the depth of the sand you take out. I think sometimes when people get, early into learning how to hit out of a bunker, they'll hear steep or in that sense and want to almost take too much sand, or somebody that fats it a lot. Like when that bunker's passing through the sand, it's almost just like gliding like on it just below the surface. And really like skipping through the sand almost and just gliding through there, as opposed to digging yourself a trench around your sandcastle, So
Yeah. And so that's where the bounce comes in and the actual wedge technology comes in. If this is wicked like hard sand and you hit way behind the ball, most likely you're going to skull it because it's going to bounce and then rebounce into that ball. Same thing. I guess it can happen in soft sand too. Most of the time you'll just hit it heavy and not come out. Or you'll release that angle too much with the wrist too early, hit a bunch of sand and then top it or thin it. But Danny, we didn't talk about this when it comes to stance, and this is a huge, huge topic when it comes to amateurs learning bunker. How are you open? Are you wildly open in your stance? Are you square? Or excuse me, are you shut? Are you closed?
probably between square and like, I'd say pretty square.
Yep.
Get too open, you get too steep, right? That's what I'd imagine you'd be going at.
100%. And so that's the difference. And so without going too in depth on what maybe our next video or our next podcast is going to be about, like soft sand or hard pan. But when it's soft sand, quick little tip, you can be a little steeper. We need to cut through that sand. Same thing if you're in heavy, long rough. That's when you open up your stance and cut across it. That's why they make high toe wedges. So you can cut across it, get steep, and cut out from under the ball. Now, if we have wet sand or more hard pan sand, we don't need to be as steep and we don't want to be as steep. Same thing if you're working with a tight lie. If you're steep on a tight lie from around the green, you're beat. You got to be shallow and clip it. So what you do from there is you change your stance. You can't really be too shallow if you got a wildly open stance because that club works up and in front and then back from out to in, steep, right? So when that happens, we're gonna dig more, and that's when you see the cut shots and that's how I grew up playing bunkers and got top bunkers. It's left foot way out of the way, open to the target, cut across it. I've hit some good shots like that, but I can tell you what, I've hit a lot better ones with a square stance, feeling like a little more like I'm hitting a little bit of a draw. And we'll talk about that when we talk about working uphill bunker shots, but that's the same thing. Practicing on slopes will also change your game, by the way. You'll really practice to that slope for what you need. But anything you want to add with that, man? I've definitely hit and became better, more consistent bunker player. And that's my huge tip to like high handicappers or people that struggle from the bunkers. Play around with an open face. Try a little bit of a square face. Like if you cannot get out of bunkers, try a square face, a little bit more of a square body stance. Feel like you're kind of hitting a little more of a draw, hit like an inch behind it. That's a big tip. But the other part before I let you talk real quick, Danny, sorry, is like, no, I lost it. I lost the train of thought. Go ahead.
Now that I'm allowed to talk.
Yes.
No, I think that's huge, and the basically what Brandon was touching on when you get really open and I feel like the kind of the classic bunker shot a lot of people hear, that's like just one kind of style of bunker shot, and that's kind of some people get that to an extreme, like too much, but the one style would be like the splash out spinny high bunker shot, which is a great shot to have in the bag, but there's also a time and place for that shot, which we'll get into.
Yep. So, generic bunker shot, flat lie, good sand, pin in the center of the green. Once again, ball position more forward or off that lead heel, club face open, handle of the club lower, shaft angle pointing more towards your zipper or belly button. We don't want the hands way forward. Wide stance, knee bend, weight on the lead foot, centered.
Those are the key takeaways right there. That's your key takeaways
that's,
in that bunker setup.
Yep. Now, I don't think we need to go into too much more. I really like that being the first digestion for our bunker series. If you guys have any questions about the bunker or want to touch on anything else with that, again, tipped_out on Instagram. And then always feel free to hit our either personal social medias or right here on YouTube if you're listening there. But
yeah, did you just say digestion? What's that word mean?
Digestion?
Digestion.
Digestion?
Oh, I think you meant to say suggestion. Maybe I just misheard you. I was trying to give some heckling for our listeners there, but I didn't know if you caught yourself or no.
No, I think I said that'll be enough for today's digestion.
Oh, okay.
Like digest the thought of what we talked.
Yeah, digest that all in. Digest it. Take it to the bank. Mail it to
ingest, digest, both.
All right, well, that's been enough. I hope everybody enjoyed listening to us today, and I hope that you can take some of this and, hit a better bunker shot next time you're out there and not be so scared of the bunker.
Exactly. Ingest it in your own game. And once again, guys, Tipped Out Family. In the link below here, if you're watching on YouTube, join the Tipped Out Family. That is going to be our email list. You guys will be able to find and stay updated on all our dropping episodes, discount codes, product giveaways, and then when we drop our instruction and ebook series. So stay tuned, be a part of that. And once again, peace and love. You got anything else, Daniel Christy?
Peace and love. On to the next one.
Peace and love. We'll catch you in the next one, bread man.
Contraband got that dope.
Sometimes I don't feel alright. New girl on my face, she said she nigga bite. That's why I don't feel alright. Catch me in a good mood, I just might.
Stop talking, I'm breaking the bank, yeah.